Joseph.
How's it going?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Great.
We're in the new studio, the new stew. The
stew.
new dough. Mm-hmm. It's stewed.
It's quite a wonder.
Yeah.
I'm very stoked about this.
Yeah. We're in a room with very low ceilings. Mm-hmm. Very hard to maneuver. But, you know, we're indie podcast film bros. So it's like, you know, that's what you got to deal with when you're an indie podcasting.
Absolutely. You gotta get a little rugged. You gotta get a little dirty.
Right. Yeah.
And here we are getting dirty at the dentist.
And here we are. We're getting canceled again because we're talking about canceled sitcom pilots.
This keeps happening to me.
We just keep getting canceled. We keep canceling these sitcom pilots.
Yes, we keep doing it.
Yeah, we keep doing it.
We don't want to pay them.
Yeah.
It's too soon.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, listen, I got a really good one, which it's actually not a pilot. It's a whole season, I think, or it's like 8 episodes or something. Did you know, we might have talked about this in real life. Did you know that in the early 2000s, Luis Guzman had his own sitcom?
I vaguely remember discussing this. Yes.
I think we did talk about this. Yeah, it was. He owned like a donut shop, and he owned the apartment building, and then the donut shop was like the base floor of this apartment building.
Okay.
And Charlie Day worked there, and he did like he did like a Hispanic guy voice. He's like, "Hey, come on, man."
Was that like his character, or was that just like one part of it?
That was like his character. He was like a white boy, but like he wanted to be like the cool, like
he wanted to be a hombre.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was very surprised to see Charlie Day in his role.
That is very random. Yeah. I saw a meme recently where someone was watching Lost, and I don't know his name.
Rob McElhenney?
Yeah, he showed up randomly, and I was like, never seen Lost, but had no idea Mac was in it.
The Always Sunny boys are just in a bunch of things. There's another canceled pilot. I didn't research this one, so we won't go too much into it, but I guess they had like a space sitcom, like a Star Trek-esque sitcom. And I think that was like their original thing before Always Sunny.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like that crew of...
Yeah, it's like
wow.
Rob McElhenney, Charlie Day, Dennis.
In space.
And it's like a space. What's that Seth MacFarlane show?
Oh, Orville?
Yeah. The clip I saw of it was essentially just that.
I was gonna say that's what it's kind of reminding me of.
Yeah.
Or like, I think Hugh Laurie also had a show kind of like that recently.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't remember what that one was called, but
just modern silly space comedy.
But this Luis Guzman show, it also felt kind of like George Lopez. Like
I could see that
Hispanic family.
It kind of reminds me of the way you described like the donut shops on like the bottom right, and then there's like apartments on top.
Yeah,
that's kind of like how Kim's Convenience is. Have you ever seen that?
I've seen clips of it, but I haven't seen.
It's a great show. I binged it recently on Netflix. It's very funny. Very funny. It's where you can see Simu Liu pre-Barbie be a little silly boy.
Pre Shang-Chi.
That as well, yes.
But it's been a while since I've watched all the episodes. I watched all 8 episodes, at least that were available online. I watched them on like Daily Motion or something. You know Daily Motion?
I do, yeah.
It's like YouTube, but like slightly less restrictions.
Yeah, it's like there could be movies on here. There could be porn.
Yeah.
We're not checking.
Yeah. It's like you can see movies and TV shows for free, but also like every once in a while there's like some porn and some.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to go on a photo bucket account to watch a sitcom.
Yeah. I don't remember where I was going with this, but
Luis Guzman's show.
It was called Luis. It was just Luis. That's just the name of the show.
See, out of context, like not seeing it written down, if you were like, "Did you catch the latest Louise last night?" I would think it was like a 70s or 80s sitcom about like a white woman.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like Lucille Ball.
Right, exactly that era. Mary Tyler Moore. Like,
so
be her mod.
Yeah, it was just one. You never saw the apartments, but they would talk about how there's apartments upstairs, and it all took place in the donut shop.
Oh, okay.
He owned it. I believe it was his mother lived in the apartments, and it was like George Lopez. He would yell at his mom, and like that was, and then his ex-wife. I don't remember who played his ex-wife, but his ex-wife would like come in and out, and that was like a thing. Charlie Day played like the the donut boy, and he had a crush on Luis Guzman's daughter, and his daughter was dating this artist boy. He had like long hair, and he was a painter. And Luis would be like, "Oh, come on, like
the softie,
yeah, get a real job." Like,
right.
"Oh, like you can't be dating an artist." And Charlie Day would like come up to her and be like, "Oh, like you want to date a real man?" And
right, I get my hands dirty.
And by the end of the pilot, she talks Luis Guzman into selling her boyfriend's paintings at the donut shop.
Huh?
Yeah.
I usually don't buy art at the Dunkin'.
Not typically.
It's not my first one.
Yeah.
I would. They have some beautiful printed canvas paintings of donuts and coffee, and on the occasion a Baskin Robbins ice cream.
Yeah. But this was more like a novelty donut shop, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
mom and pop.
Sometimes you go into like one of these coffee shops and there's like some kid like selling their paintings or like playing their songs and whatever.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
We love a midday open mic.
Oh, man, dude.
Everyone bring your guitar. Everyone's so creative.
Listen, everyone live your dreams, do what you want to do.
Please.
But sometimes if I'm in the middle of like studying or like writing something and then just some like 80-year-old man with a guitar comes up and starts singing Bob Dylan. I'm like, dude, come on.
And you know it's not Bob Dylan because he's only 80 years old.
Yeah. He's like, it's always like just, you know, some kid like singing their band songs. Yeah,
it's usually younger kids with their original music, or it's older people with their like Bob Dylan bummer songs is what I would refer to it as.
Like folk music.
Right. It's not that it's bad. Yeah. It's just
some like Tom Petty and shit.
We're trying to start the day at the coffee shop. You're bringing us down, bro.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't like check the times that like the open mic is. So, you know,
I often am never at coffee shops. So I truly am talking out of my ass.
Yeah. I know from experience, Brad.
Oh yes.
And also to be fair, we have like invaded bars with just comedy open mics and ruined a lot of people's nights probably.
100%. I've ruined my own several.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've seen people ruin each other's nights like intentionally too. So
you're not having fun, so I'm going to resent you.
Yeah. I have the same premise, but I did it better, so I'm going to make sure you have a bad night.
That's very
oh man, it's getting too real.
Painfully,
it's getting
not inaccurate. It's not my experience, thankfully, but it's like that exists.
Yeah,
it's stressful.
You get booked more than I do, so I'm going to make sure that you have a bad night.
I'm sure it'll work in your favor.
Oh, man. All right, we got to get off this topic before the open micers start coming for us.
Oh God, look out for those open micers.
Yeah. Brett, do you have a canceled sitcom pilot you want to talk about?
I do actually. There was at one point. I'm a pretty big Kevin Smith fan, I would say.
Yes, I do know this about you.
Yes, a lovely person. And there was at one point a pilot filmed for Clerks, the sitcom. It was in the mid-90s. Okay. I think maybe late 90s, rather.
Yeah.
And it's very fascinating saga because I don't recall who produced it, but they made it pretty much without telling Kevin Smith.
That's funny.
It is funny because it's like the balls, the nerve. So he eventually found out, and by the time he found out, like things were already in motion. Like they were casting Randall and Dante and like all that. And so he was like, "Okay, I'll help if you will let me."
That's a really Kevin Smith thing to do. Is like, I'm not going to sue you for stealing my intellectual property, but like
if I can contribute, I'd be less pissy about it. Like I think that's a adult way of approaching it, whereas because and there's the only thing more dangerous than a creative is a creative with money. And so a lot of people could be like, "No, this is mine." It's like
his Superman story where like John Peters just tells him like, "I want you to do this, this, and this," and he's just like, "Okay,
it's fine. If you want your space spiders, I will bring you space spiders."
But so do you know who they were cast? Or Was this shot or was this?
It was shot. They filmed that. They filmed the very first episode at least.
Okay.
They may have done additional. I can't recall. I have seen the pilot.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's a pilot. 99% of pilots are bad.
Clerks, but like in a TV show.
It's pretty much Clerks with the laugh track, or I guess there'd be a studio audience back then. But yeah.
So it's just plot like beat for beat the movie, or is it like just a Clerks-esque?
It's pretty much Clerks-esque.
I
believe Randall and Dante are the only like returning like characters, I guess, even though they're played by totally different people.
Do you know who played them or no?
I know who played Dante. It was SNL's Jim Brewer.
Ah, that's pretty good. Good for him.
Oh wait, no, he was Randall, not Dante.
Okay, he was one of them.
I was to say no, he's way too straight at.
Yeah,
Dante is too like straight character to be played by Jim Brewer.
Okay. Yeah, that would have been interesting.
It's out there.
I mean, I wouldn't watch it.
I watched it just out of curiosity because I think it was maybe post Clerks 3 or post reboot. So I was on like, let's see what else he's done.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a rough 22 minutes.
Yeah.
But truth be told, I've seen worse sitcom pilots. Like there's most sitcom pilots are not great.
Yeah. Did you see Powerless? It's like a DC show with Vanessa Hudgens.
I remember them promoting the hell out of it.
Yeah, I think
I remember being like, "Ooh, Vanessa Hudgens, she fine."
Yeah, it's a fair point. But yeah, I remember like
was that NBC?
It wasn't.
Yeah,
it was like The Office, but like for superhero,
right?
And like no famous superheroes were in it, and I think they like reshot or like rewrote the entire pilot after, which I don't think is fairly uncommon.
It's a thing, yeah.
Yeah. There will be a lot of like TV shows where like you watch the trailers and it's completely different than what's in the actual pilot.
Absolutely. I recall there's a show that's on right now on ABC called Home Economics, or was it? It's Home Economics.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I'm not thinking of Home. It's not Home Economics. It was a show that got canceled. Oh God.
What was it about?
So I don't remember the name of the sitcom, but I remember it originally. It was just like about like a family, just like a generic white family, very ABC.
The Righteous Gemstones.
Not quite.
Okay.
This was, I believe, their thing was like they just didn't have a whole lot of money, which is nice because like we've sitcoms like Malcolm in the Middle, Roseanne. They thrived off of that kind of setting and demographic. But I remember the dad was originally played by Workaholics mail order comedy person Anders Holm.
That was Home Economics. Yeah.
Was it Home Economics?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the dad, because I remember seeing him in the promos for it, and going, "Oh, Durs is working post Workaholics. Good for him." But then when the show came out, they recast him with Saved by the Bell's Mark Paul something. He played Zach Morris. They 100% recast Durs, and I was like, "Oh,
maybe it
no,
wasn't Home
that's
Economics.
Terrible." It was not Home Economics. I thought it was Home Economics at first, but then I was like, "No, that show's never been recast."
No, because I think he was going to be on Home Economics, and he was also recast in that. I don't know. I could just be talking out of my ass. I don't know. I'm distracted by this TikTok that's not posting.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We need these TikToks to post.
All right. We're all good on the TikTok.
Anyway, what I can tell you that definitely happened is that Anders Holm was on a sitcom for at least one episode, and they promoted it, and then they totally recast him with the actor from NYPD Blue.
Okay. That's a fair.
So that is definitely fact. I will die on that hill. It being home economics, not dying on that one.
Yeah.
But in that same 5-year span, I would say probably the same network, NBC or ABC.
It does. How do you feel about like recastings, like after like mid show?
Oh, like mid show?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, I feel like most people can relate to this. I don't love it, but sometimes it is necessary.
Yeah.
And plus, sometimes, especially back in like the 80s and 90s, when like they didn't think there was going to be like streaming and like home, like DVD, Blu-ray collections that people are going to be able to revisit these shows multiple times, more often than they could ever imagine.
Yeah.
Because I was one of those people once I was like old enough to like, oh, DVDs, media, this is fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot my point. People being recast.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's a necessary evil, I guess.
Yeah.
And the thing I was getting to about the whole 80s and 90s thing was that they weren't counting on all that revisiting, so therefore continuity wasn't as big of a concern.
Yeah.
Because as you know, I just went to a podcast show recently for Pod Meets World, which is a Boy Meets World rewatch podcast starring the majority of the main cast. And in that time, they said so themselves, like, and we didn't think like people would be watching these over and over and over 30 years later.
Yeah.
And so in that show specifically, for example, one of the characters, Topanga, has 3 different actors playing her dad.
Okay.
And if you compare like the first dad to the third dad, totally different vibes. Yeah. Like first dad
is like a black guy, third dad.
What was that?
It's a black guy, third dad.
Oh, that'd be wild. Oh my god. But the first dad is like this. I believe he's a member of the group The Monkees, but he was like a hippie guy. Like he made guitars and stuff like that. And then by the last time we see this character, he's not only played by a different actor, but he's like a sort of like white collar business kind of serious guy. Like her parents go through a divorce at a certain point, so you see him kind of post that.
Okay.
And it's just wow.
It's explained in the show at least, or is it just still sort of like?
And as to why he's a different person, they totally blank over it.
Right. But
they're just like, nope, no one cares.
Do they explain why he's like proper now, or is it just?
Oh, not at all.
Okay, all right, that works.
They also had a few moments like that with like they had a bully character that started in season 2 that was played by the same actor for the longest time, and then one day he was having a mental health crisis, and this is before the term mental health crisis existed. And back then they were just like, I don't know, he's broken. So then they had to bring in a different actor really quick, because this happened at, I believe, the read-through, which is usually on a Monday. And then I think on Tuesday is when they had to like bring in a different actor to play this guy for at least that week.
Okay.
So it's really funny on that one specific sitcom, they have 2 actors who play the same character, but only one of them played him for one episode. And the funniest part about that is that the original actor came back and played that character like a season later, and then 10, 15 years later in the sequel series Girl Meets World.
That's weird.
It's super weird.
So they recast him and then brought him back and then brought him back again.
Yeah, they brought him back once like they knew he was good, I think.
Wow.
But yeah, it's one of the like most interesting sitcom sagas that I've witnessed.
Okay. That's like did you watch New Girl?
Not really, but I have friends who love it, so I'm kind of familiar.
Okay. Like in the pilot there was a character called Coach.
Okay.
And he was played by Damon Wayans Jr., I believe.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I watched the pilot at least.
And so he was going to be like the fourth roommate or whatever. But then he was also on another sitcom. And so for the rest of the show, they brought on Lamorne Morris as I don't remember his character's name. I really should, but I don't. Winston. And so instead of just like, oh, we'll just get a different black guy to play this character, they're like, all right, we'll make it a different character and then explain why he's here instead of Coach. And then also Coach does come back like later on.
Okay, yeah, it sounds kind of similar to the Boy Meets World scenarios.
Yeah,
that's fun. I'm glad that they just didn't recast. They didn't just hire a different black guy, which I guess you could get away with, but I think we should lean more towards like that's clear. That's true, yeah. It's not Terrence Howard and Don Cheadle are different vibes. Next time, baby.
Yeah. Did you watch Secret Invasion? We're so off topic now, but
it's fine.
Yeah.
Secret Invasion. I've watched the first episode. I'm gonna get to it. I like the Marvel stuff. It's just not like my top priority. Unless Spider-Man's in it, I'm like, I'll get to it.
Yeah, I fell asleep during the first episode and then just have not cared to watch any of it.
I was gonna say I didn't retain much.
Yeah.
I remember. Oh no, Skrulls are here.
Yeah.
It's like okay.
Yeah, I just watched like explanation videos on. You do ever watch explanation videos?
The There's a YouTube channel I love called Man of Recaps that I watch every time I have like if I have like a show that's about to end or like has a season coming up.
Yeah. Or
if it's just like a show that I started but don't care to finish.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. I know I think it was right before I watched the last season of House of Cards because I waited like 5 years after Spacey got in trouble for some reason to watch it.
He got. This is breaking news. He got acquitted today. Did you see that?
I did see that.
He
but
was found not guilty.
I've also heard a lot of his witnesses are turning up dead. Really? I haven't looked into that at all. That was
what
just
sort
from
of power
a friend.
does Spacey have that he's like offing people?
I truly don't know, but I think we should be afraid.
K-Space. He's coming for this podcast. We've talked about him so much on this podcast. I feel like he's going to come.
He's in everything. What do you want?
Yeah.
Like, sorry.
Dude, like, yeah. He's a fucked up person, but like, he had a long streak of like just being in fucking hits,
Bangers.
Yeah.
Bangers. American Beauty. What's the one where he walks funny? The
7?
The 7. Isn't he Usual Suspects?
Usual Suspects.
Okay, yeah.
Same. Bryan Singer, same thing. That was like their ultimate. Oh, and they were both in Superman Returns. Bryan Singer directed, and Kevin Spacey was Lex Luthor.
Oh, I wonder if they hung out.
Yeah, they like just hung out and regaled stories about raping little boys.
Oh God. Or maybe I wonder. Oh, this is so fucked up. I wonder if they were like, "Do you?" It's like when you find out like someone who like smokes weed for the first time. Like, do you?
Yeah, like they both pulled up to the island on separate private jets, and they were just like, dude, what?
How crazy is this?
Oh man,
I feel dirty.
Yeah,
it's
that's
fine.
horrible.
I had a good laugh though.
Anyways, back to this. What were we talking about?
Canceled sitcoms.
Clerks sitcom. You should next time you meet Kevin Spacey.
Next time I meet Kevin Spacey,
Kevin Smith.
I'm going to tell that motherfucker, listen, man, I don't like what you're doing.
Yeah. Next time you meet Kevin Smith. Next time you hang out with Kevin Spacey, don't let him do anything to you.
I'm a grown ass man. I'm fine.
No, next time you meet Kevin Smith, which I feel like you will soon.
It's not impossible, but I have met him once, so that's good enough. But I mean, the more he makes, the more tempted I'll be.
Yeah, he's always like doing like a screening of like, or like some like talk. He doesn't do stand up. He does like TED Talks that are like about his career.
Literally, I've been to 2 of his live shows. They're a fucking great time.
Yeah,
it's
I'm sure.
I went to the Jay and Silent Bob reboot show and the Clerks 3 show, the tour he did for all those in Detroit. They were a great time.
Yeah.
Clerks 3, I actually went in very blind. I did not see it in the theater beforehand.
Okay.
My person I went with, my friend at the time, I'm still friends with him, I'm about to live with him. He had seen it. Yeah. And he did not warn me that character and actress I very much cared for dies.
Doesn't Dante die
spoiler, Dante does die, but in the end.
Doesn't he have a heart attack or something?
He does. Yeah. Which is like the funny but fucked up part of it, because the movie starts with Randall having a heart attack and living.
Okay, yeah, that was the joke.
Yeah, the whole like big joke is like Randall's a piece of shit and has to live.
Yeah, and they aren't they like trying to make Clerks the movie?
Literally, it's the like meta thing. He has a heart attack, has an epiphany. Before he gets the epiphany, though, he's like laying in the hospital bed, just being like, "I'm a fucking loser. All I've ever done is watch movies." Like, there's something wrong with that. We're doing all right.
What are you trying to say?
Yeah, like, just record yourself talking about the movies, and you'll be all right. Did
you ever watch
less
Tusk?
pathetic. I have seen Tusk, actually. I watched it recently, like a couple months ago.
I always thought it was so funny how he made like the main character a podcaster.
Yeah.
And
I loved. I had never seen Yoga Hosers before that, so that was fun to be like, oh, that's the girls from the movie I haven't seen. Yeah, and I actually watched that probably about a month ago, and that was a really good time. Yoga Hosers.
Yoga Hosers was a good time.
Hosers or Hosers. I really liked it. There's a lot. I
didn't see it because I heard it was horrible.
I don't agree. It's silly. Like it's fucking silly. Like if you're looking for like a good quality heart string pulling movie, I wouldn't say it's that, but it's a fun, entertaining watch, I would say. Okay. And
there was like Nazi weenies or something.
Yeah, but you get to see 2 pretty good looking girls.
You get to see
destroy them.
You get to see Lily Rose Depp pre The Idol.
Yes. I watched this before The Idol came out, and everything I heard about The Idol, I was like, I don't know if I want to taint this outlook I have of you.
Yeah. Have you seen The Idol or not?
I haven't. I wanted to watch it originally, but then I
Yeah.
heard it was like not even dog shit.
Yeah.
Because usually dog shit things can still be fun.
I mean, that works for this episode because we're talking about canceled shows.
That's true.
It's been canceled like 5 episodes deep.
Yeah, I think the Zeitgeist canceled it like after the first episode aired.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything from it except I watched a weekend compilation on YouTube of just like his worst scenes.
I've seen like small little clips of probably the same stuff and like gifs or like stills of just like some of the shit he says. It's just like
actually like if that was like ironic, like if they were doing that ironically to be like, let's make the worst character in existence, then like that would be hilarious. But it seems like so genuine, and it's just like, what are you guys trying to portray with this character? You know,
right? That was kind of the other thing. I'm like this. I'm all for like I don't want to say anti-hero, but like a main character you don't like.
Yeah,
like I'm all for that, but this just seemed a little too extreme for me. I was like, oh, there's a lot of like. I mean, it's from the creators or producers of Euphoria.
Sam Levinson,
yeah. So which I've watched Euphoria. Like, yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect anything less, but I was just kind of like, oh, this just looks a little too wild for me.
Yeah.
Like I think after Euphoria, I was just kind of like, I can't consume this much dirt.
Yeah. Yeah. I think The Weeknd was in Uncut Gems, and then he realized like, oh, I want to start being in like weird artsy things too. And then he wrote an episode of American Dad, and then he wrote, which he's also in, and then he wrote The Idol show, and he's just starting to realize like, oh, maybe I can't do this.
You said he wrote an episode of American Dad?
Yeah, he wrote an episode of American Dad, like right after Uncut Gems. He wrote an episode of American Dad where he sings a song about how like the daughter she wants to have sex with him, and then he sings a song about how he's a virgin and how he has angel wings or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So that's what The Weeknd's up to.
I mean, if you can just write your own episode of American Dad, I mean, that's success. I think
he has too much like it's like when a star gets like too big and then they think like, oh, I can just do anything now.
Right.
Like no, dude, just stick to the thing that people like you for.
Right, exactly. Like Tom Brady with these silly commercials.
What commercials? I don't know.
I think it's Hertz car rental.
Okay.
Yeah, he's done at least like 3 of them by now.
Okay.
And although I've not seen the acclaimed smash hit film 80 for Brady, I've noticed at least from the commercials he's not an actor first.
Right.
Like I'm not gonna shit on it because I'm certainly not either, but it's a hard sell.
He was also in a Seth MacFarlane joint. He was in Ted 2.
He was.
Yeah,
he was probably still a Patriot at the time, right?
Maybe.
I'm assuming. I know that
it was just the joke was that Ted tries to sneak into his house to jerk him off so they can get his sperm
and have super babies or something. Oh my god. Oh. I've seen Ted 2 once. I like Ted 1. I can't tell you what the plot of Ted 2 is, frankly.
I've been seeing that moment go around where they're like, and the new Superman is Jonah Hill. And then it cuts to Mark Wahlberg. He's like, fuck.
Oh, man. That's aged so well.
Yeah. Those movies are... Okay, this is one more side tangent, and then we'll get back
to cancel sitcoms.
Yeah, cancel sitcoms.
Because I've got a few I wouldn't mind discussing.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday where they were talking about Anchorman 2 and how they think it's horrible. And I'm like, Anchorman 2 is so funny.
I very much enjoyed myself in Anchorman 2.
I think it was funnier than the first one.
I was one of those... So, I'm one of those... How do I phrase this? I didn't see Anchorman immediately just because it was one of those movies that was like...
You were like, everyone's
quoted this, so
You don't
it's
really,
not that I don't want to see it. It's just kind of like, I'm not going to have the same reaction you guys had.
Yeah.
Therefore, I don't want to disappoint you or myself.
Yeah.
Same thing with like The Hangover. Like didn't see The Hangover till probably it was on like DVD or something. And even then I was still kind of like,
Yeah.
But again, all the best parts were quoted, not only quoted to me, but in person. But by that point, social media was a thing. The baby was a meme. That baby was on every single piece of merchandise you could fit a baby onto.
Yeah.
So just all the best jokes were just played out by the time I finally got to sit down and view it.
Yeah. But
sad.
Anchorman 2, I just, the plot of like Ron loses he becomes blind and he lives in a lighthouse, and
that part did throw me off, but that's part of the silliness of those movies.
And then he goes to like his black girlfriend's family dinner, and he's like just being blatantly like just like stereotypical black, and it's that scene is so funny. This is a great movie. I don't know why people don't like Anchorman 2.
My favorite part of both of those movies are like the fight scenes and shit.
Yeah.
Like, so the super fight scene in the second one with like
Kanye West and Will Smith and
I think Amy and Tina together.
Tina
like,
Fey,
so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great movie. And the bloopers are hilarious too.
Oh, any Will Ferrell bloopers are a good time. Bloopers. I don't love every Will Ferrell movie, but I have no doubt that the bloopers are a great time.
The bloopers are hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. Canceled TV shows, canceled pilots. There's one, this is a fun one, and then you can do yours, and then we can end it so you can go home because it's getting late.
Oh, I'm in no rush.
I don't know how far into development it got, but they were going to make an Aquaman TV show around the same time as Smallville. It wasn't going to be...
Yes, this is the plot of Showtime's Entourage, or HBO's Entourage.
Oh, that's right. They did like an Aquaman thing on Entourage.
It was like a movie thing. It was nowhere near like a TV show.
James Cameron was directing it or
I
something?
think so. Yeah. I've never seen Entourage, but I like the memes.
Yeah, it was going to star Justin Hartley. Justin, do you know?
If I saw him, I probably recognize him. I feel like I did look into this at one point.
Yeah, he was on, I think he's on This Is Us. I think he's like the sexy guy in it. They're all sexy.
I would say, was he like a heartthrob in like the 2000s
Probably.
era? Okay, then I'm pretty sure I've seen like the trailer for this or something, assuming it's the same Aquaman show.
Yeah, but it's it was gonna be around the Smallville time, but they also had Alan Ritchson play Aquaman in Smallville. So there was going to be like a rival Aquaman thing going on.
Okay, kind of like like what they did with like Flash and Arrow and all those guys. Yeah. Supergirl. Interesting.
Yeah, and I just don't think a show like I just imagine like an early 2010s Aquaman TV show. It was probably just going to be a big muscle boy wearing an orange jacket and green pants, like.
I'm seeing like modern day Baywatch, like Baywatch meets Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Michael Baywatch.
Yeah.
Damn it, I hate myself.
Oh, man. Right. Why would you do that?
Because I'm corny.
Oh, man. All right, you talk about your show. I don't know where else to go with this Aquaman show.
What sitcom show? Did you watch Fox's Mulaney?
I did not watch it, but I know you're a fan.
I watched it. I watched it. It was it's the reason I believe Mulaney left. I think Mulaney already left SNL by that point, but
I think he had left, but Lauren Michaels still produced his.
Lauren Michaels produced. Nasim Pedrad did leave SNL to do Mulaney.
Okay,
and she was just like the
ditzy girl.
I hate saying female, but she was just like the girl of the friend group because it was John.
It was like a gay black guy, right? Or was he not gay?
Was he? His neighbor was gay.
Okay, maybe
and he was played by Elliot Gould, R.I.P.
Okay.
And then his boss was played by Martin Short.
That's right.
And that was a fun time.
And he was like a talk show host or something?
Yeah, he was like a Fallon type. And Mulaney, I believe, was just like a writer on his show, and that was the whole thing. But what was interesting was that the show would start off just like Seinfeld with John Mulaney on stage talking about just doing stand-up, but it's like kind of related to the episode we're about to watch.
Okay.
Which I had mixed feelings about because I was like, okay, this is familiar, but I don't see why this only has to be for Jerry Seinfeld. Why can't Seinfeld have started his own like sort of template for a sitcom starring stand-up comedians who want to be stand-up comedians in their show. They're not playing, whatever Ray Romano's character is in Everybody Loves Raymond. Yeah, they're not pursuing these weird middle-class occupations.
Yeah, that is the thing about a lot of like those sitcoms is where it'll be like a comedian, but then they're just playing like a regular guy. Which, I mean, I guess, because then it's like, I understand because you don't want to have like George Lopez, like Seinfeld, and Ray Romano Seinfeld, and like, because I feel like if they did do the comedian thing, then it would all just be like
every comedian.
It's just Seinfeld.
They would just kind of like bleed together, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh well, this one also starts up at a comedy club.
Yeah.
On that topic, though, on Home Improvement, Tim Allen's character did play like a TV show host, and I feel like that was kind of, although he never hosted like a late night show or anything, he was a stand-up comedian. I think that was pretty like believable.
Yeah.
Plus, I love Home Improvement, so I'm going to bring it up.
Okay.
But staying on topic, though, on Home Improvement in one of the later seasons, there was a episode that introduced two characters, two buddies, if you will, that were played by both Dave Chappelle and Jim Brewer.
No way.
Yes. And this was actually supposed to be a bit of a backdoor pilot for a sitcom called Buddies, starring Dave Chappelle and Jim Brewer. No way. This is at least the mid-90s. And it just never came to be. I really don't know why it never worked out. I don't think anything was ever filmed, but I learned that in my like I said, I like Home Improvement a lot, so I watch like all the documentaries and stuff, and that was one of the things that came up.
That's interesting. Yeah. I know Dave Chappelle had like so many development deals that just never became anything.
That's very true. I think he had a shitload of sitcom, like just appearances and pilots, and I think everybody in the 90s had a pilot at some point. I know Jason Bateman at one point. Okay. When he was like 21, he did a pilot that didn't get picked up because
I think Joe Rogan almost had like a pilot.
That sounds right too. Yeah. The Jason Bateman one though, they canceled because I don't think it was because, but it's a pretty safe assumption. His character was gay and it was like 3 roommates. And like this is pre-Ellen, you know, so you couldn't quite get away with that as much.
That's interesting. Yeah.
This one's, I may talk a while on this one, but it's fine. There's a show that I love from the same era, from the 90s. That was created by Chuck Lorre, so creator of Roseanne and Big Bang Theory, all sorts of shows we love. It was called Grace Under Fire, starring Brett Butler, who's a famous comedian at the time, one of several who got their own sitcom development deal just for succeeding in stand-up comedy. Yeah. You know, that's just how you did it back then. Yeah. Great show. I love it. However, it did endure the most sitcom drama I think I've ever heard about.
Okay, this is I haven't heard about this.
Oh, it's wild. So the main actress, Brett Butler, she did have addiction problems. Okay. And that did play a big part on and off throughout the 4 seasons of the show. In terms of delaying production, all kinds of stuff.
So the show ran for 4 seasons?
The show ran for 4 seasons, but here's the kicker. Between season 3 and 4, I believe there was at least a 1-year gap. Okay. And there wasn't a writer's strike or anything. It was just because the behind the scenes stuff was so crazy. Okay. In the pilot, again, this is not uncommon, but it's still interesting. She has 3 kids. The oldest son is played by a very different actor than the actor you see in the rest of the show. Mm-hmm. What else happens? Big changes. That same son got recast, I think, the end of the 2nd season because allegedly, I want to emphasize that because I respect I still respect the actress and like the show a lot, and I don't want to, because she's struggling financially, but allegedly the second actress of her oldest son had to leave the show because the lead actress Brett Butler showed him her boobies. Okay, mind you, he's like a child. Oh, yeah, no bueno. Okay, so
he was probably cool with it.
Yeah, probably, but still not cool. Yeah, still not cool at the end of the day. So they recast him again but then they aged him up for I believe the third season.
Okay.
And he jumped from like maybe 11 or 12 to 16. And like it's noticeable, like the height difference and whatnot. So it's it's really a fascinating saga of the show. It's sad, I would say, more than fascinating, just because there's addiction and stuff involved. But again, in terms of like how much drama is a cast and crew and production had to endure, very fascinating.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look at what was the show called?
Grace Under Fire.
Grace Under Fire. Okay.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
Very interesting. And then I thought I had one more thing, and it just left my brain. Was it about a sitcom? Was it about a canceled sitcom? I think that's a more important question. Must not have been important.
All right.
Nothing.
Well, we can end there. I don't know. Do you want to talk about anything else?
Most of my favorite, not favorite, but I do enjoy a nice canceled one season show.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I say keep them coming.
There was this show on Netflix. The girl, I think it's the girl from Hawkeye. I don't recall her name.
Haley Steinfeld?
No, it's not her. It's some girl. It's called Girl Boss. Did you watch that?
I remember hearing about a Girl Boss, but I remember like 10 other shows coming out with a similar premise.
It was like just a girl, like, I remember I watched the whole first season because I was sick and because I thought the girl was cute. But I didn't like the show. And then it got canceled. And I remember a lot of people were really upset about that. And I was just like, what more could they tell? It's based on a true story about like a girl who sells clothes on eBay. And she became like a girl boss by like selling clothes. And
they made a show about this, like a series. That's interesting, but I like you kind of like what you just said. Where do you go past like the first season with that?
Yeah,
I know there's a show right now. I believe it's called like Dead Like Me or something, or not Dead Yet. Dead Like Me is a totally different show. Not Dead Yet, where because I watch programming on ABC, they play the bumpers for it a lot. And the pilot pretty much is just like this girl works for a newspaper company, and just one day she wakes up and she can like see ghosts and like talk to ghosts and stuff.
Okay.
And I believe the premise of the whole show is just she talks to ghosts, she helps them solve their unresolved.
Oh, I think I heard about this
business
one.
Or something.
Yeah.
But that's another show I was watching. I'm like, where do you go after episode 1?
Yeah.
Like, is she going to like lose the power in season 2, get it back in season 3? Like, I mean, I guess I just wrote the next 2 seasons, but
potentially,
I guess. But I'm just like, ooh, this is a 22 episode
thing.
They
can't hire you now, Brad, because of
I don't want them to hire me. I don't want to be a scab.
Yeah.
Sounds gross and infected.
Yeah. By the way, we don't get paid to talk about shows, so we're not scabs.
No, we're just guys.
Yeah. Our opinions hold no value. So
truly,
yeah,
we just have no other friends to tell them, and we just happen to have found each other.
Yep, that's how it works in the open mic community.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. Hey, here's a fun fact. Did you know that Ray Romano was originally cast as Joe Rogan's character in the show that he was on, News Radio?
I did not know that.
And then they liked Joe Rogan so much that they fired Ray Romano and cast him.
I did not know that.
I mean, everything worked out for both of them.
Yeah, no, that's wild. One has the most successful podcast in the world. The other did a movie recently with was it Julia Louis-Dreyfus, something like that?
No. I know you're talking. I talked about it on the podcast, but I don't remember who played
Marissa Tomei.
No, Marissa Tomei.
One of those babes.
It starred him and a lady, and he had a son who played basketball.
Yes, basketball was the thing. Yeah. I heard that was a great movie. So
it was pretty good.
Everyone's doing good.
Everyone's doing well. And he had a great sitcom. So.
Oh yeah, of course. It's very much syndicated. So good for him.
He's got that cheddar cheese. Mm-hmm. Do you have a fun fact?
A
fun casting fact.
Fun casting fact.
Isn't it weird that Dave Chappelle was on that Tom Hanks You've Got Mail? He plays his best friend in it.
Oh yeah, I was thinking earlier when we were talking about like the Buddies sitcom. I'm like, Dave Chappelle had like he was working in the '90s, like absolutely no doubt. Because he did like Men in Tights. I think Half Baked was towards the end of the '90s, which I enjoy as a movie, but not for the quality.
I think a lot of people really enjoy Half Baked.
It's got the cult following, I would say.
Yeah.
It was not a theatrical goose egg, shall we say.
He was an undercover brother. He played conspiracy brother.
An undercover brother.
Yeah. And
not bad, Whitey.
He's like, good morning. Good morning. I don't remember what he said, but
I want to watch Undercover Brother now.
He played Bradley Cooper's like mentor in A Star Is Born.
Yeah, that was also a random
Noodles.
fun surprise. Is that his name? Noodles?
That was his name. Noodles.
I didn't clock that. Oh man, yeah, I love that movie. But it kind of took me out. I was like, that's Dave Chappelle. Yeah. Like, if you're gonna try to convince me he's like a musician of some sort, like it's gonna be hard for me to believe you.
Yeah. I don't know what else to do.
I was gonna say, I think.
What do we normally do on this show?
Casting. I don't know any other very fun, unique sitcom casting facts off the top of my head. No, that's really it. I think I'm clocked out.
All right, we can just end here.
All right, we'll do it then.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow Brad at his social media.
And Joseph.
And mine. And we'll see you guys next time.
Paradizo.
And Paradizo Films.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Big peace.
Send us DM. Big peace.